Hey, welcome back. Today I want to talk about empty nest. Now, I had an empty nest. Well, actually, I had no empty nest. My son graduated early in 2020 before the pandemic hit. He graduated in January, went into the Navy in April. In March, my son that was in Spain, Ezekiel, came home from Spain, and my son Cutter, who was with his wife in Idaho, came back home. And then my daughter, who was in Sacramento at the time, came back home. JT left in April. So I had all four of them home. And then JT left in April to go to boot camp. G, my oldest, was in Houston at the time, and he did not come home. He had a job, his wife had a job, and they didn't need to come home. Now, my other three were all in school, and so they needed to come home because school stopped. And so they came home, and we went from only having one to having four at home. And I mean, we had five, right? I thought, what kind of difference can it make? We had five when they were growing up. Now they're all, four of them are home. When they come home, after they leave, all together they come home. If one goes to college and one comes home for Christmas, or two go to college, two come home for Christmas, somebody goes to work, comes home. It's much different than when they all just show up. They're adults now. They're used to doing their own thing. They're used to having their own space. Sure, they have to pay for those things, but at the same time, they're used to them. They're used to their things in their spots, in their places. They're not used to sharing the bathroom with everyone again. They're used to things being the way they want them. Even with roommates, they still had some sort of control. When they all moved back home, they didn't have that control anymore. And we had, my husband and I, he has sleep apnea and he snores, and that machine, his machine now is not as bad, but before it was like trying to sleep with Darth Vader, like, and I couldn't do it. And so we switched rooms. So we got separate rooms. There was only one kid here. JT was it. So we got separate rooms. So when the kids all came back, all of a sudden I'm like, I have to give up my room. I have to give up my room because everyone's here, and I can't have my separate room and my pretty things and my pretty colors and without that all night. So I got some silicone ear plugs, and I like those because they fit really well and you can squish them to whatever size they need to be, shape. And then so we could have extra space. So everybody moved back in, and Cutter and his wife came with a dog and a cat. I already had two dogs in 2020. And so it was almost empty nest to huge amount of people again. And because 2020 also, they sent me home from work. They sent my husband home from work. So we were working remotely. And I had a desk set up in one of the rooms, and he had a desk out here. And we were working remotely. And then the kids were all home. And Cutter was trying to finish college, or his 2-year degree up. And his wife's trying to finish a 4-year degree up quick because before they graduated that next month. And Kendi was working, where was she working? McDonald's, I want to say. I think she went back to McDonald's. She'd been working there before. And then Zeke, he just decided it was too much. It was just too much. So he went and moved in with my parents. Now, because it was 2020, my parents are older, we decided we couldn't mix. So I said, if you go over there, you can't come back because we can't mix. We need to make sure we keep them healthy. So we can't mix. And so he stayed over there. And if he did come over, we would just talk to him outside. And he would ride his bike or the moped, and we could have conversations outside. And I think he kept going to school. He did online school. He started online school again when we got back from Spain. But it was a little crazy because it was like, oh, we're almost at the empty nest stage and it'll just be us. And I can't imagine what it's going to be like. And then we didn't get to imagine it, which was, which I look back and I think, there's that country song. I can't remember who sings it, but you're going to miss this. You're going to want this back. You're going to wish these days hadn't gone by so fast. Well, at the time, you don't know that because you're like, oh, it's crazy down here. I'm going to feed all these people again. And I've been used to just making smaller amounts of meals and not having to have so much food in the house. And that's one thing they kept saying, there's no food in the house. There's no food in the house. I'm like, there's food in the house. There's just ingredients. You can make food with the ingredients. There's just not pre-made food. And so that was kind of a little battle there. But yeah, it was funny. And I was like, you're going to miss this. I keep reminding myself when I went on the Camino, you're going to miss this. Anytime something happens and I think, I said, no, you're going to miss this. You're going to want this back. And even though it was crazy having everyone back under the same roof, and I wanted it to be over because I couldn't teach my classes with everybody around, and the internet wasn't, the bandwidth wasn't enough for all of us to be working online and watching TV and, streaming movies. And so it was a little crazy. But every day I got to get out and take a walk because the weather started to improve, and I had to take Cutter's dog for a walk because she's huge. She's a huge wolf, husky, something mix. I mean, she is enormous. She probably almost outweighs me. And so I had to take her for a walk before she ate all my furniture every day. So I would put my phone in my pocket with my Teams meeting on for my class, because a lot of times the kids weren't required to come in, so they didn't come in. So it would ding. I had my headphones on. I pull my phone up. Hey, good to see you. What do you need help with? So I could be walking. And one day when I was walking, no one came in, so no dings. This beautiful rainbow showed up after it kind of just sprinkled for a little while, and Maggie and I were getting kind of wet. But the sun came out, and this beautiful rainbow just appeared in the sky. And I was like, oh, I am going to miss this. No matter how much. I don't think I am right now. I'm going to miss this. So I tried to change my attitude, because in this world, you can't control much of anything. You can't control your own body. It can get sick without you controlling it. You can't make yourself healthy. You can't control your children. You can't control the weather. You can't control your house. Everything is pretty much out of your control, except for your attitude and a few other things. So I thought, I'd been watching a lot of videos on Stoicism at the time, and I thought, I can control my attitude. I'm going to control my attitude. Not that I did every day or that I did very well, but I said, I'm going to control my attitude, because if my attitude is better, everything should look better. Everything should be better, at least from my point of view. So I started to control my attitude better, trying to be like, you know what? I'm going to miss this. This is probably the last time they're all going to be under the roof at the same time, or at least, a majority of them. And I'm going to miss it someday. They come into my room, they sit on the bed, they want to talk with me. And that's not going to be forever. Eventually they're not going to want to come and sit on the bed and talk to me, because they'll have their own children and their own families sitting on their bed talking to them. And I will become less and less and less important as time goes by. So this time together, even though it was crazy, was wonderful. And now we're back to empty nest here and there, because I went to babysit for my brother, so he could go to Spain, and I was gone because Kendi was graduating. So I was gone about 4 weeks. And when I came home, JT was home. He had come home for a week to get his driver's license renewed and some other things, see some friends. And then Cutter was home because there was somebody in the office who was out and he needed to cover for them. So he was home because he usually works remotely way up north in Minnesota. And so he was home a couple weeks, and then I took JT to the airport, dropped him off, and then Cutter left on the Friday. JT left on Tuesday, Cutter left on the Friday. Wednesday, Kennedy showed up at the airport, and so I picked her up, and then she was home until Friday. And so my empty nest doesn't stay empty for long. I mean, that's not even the only time they've all been home, or one or two of them have been home at a time. So Kennedy is now on her grown-up job, and Cutter's back up north working remotely again, and JT's back in the Navy. He was in the Navy before, but now he's back to his base over there in Virginia somewhere. But I just want to know, empty nests are come and go. They're going to come and they're going to go. And sometimes it'll drive me crazy because I'm like, oh, I have my plans. I have the things I want to do. And I have to remember, I'm going to miss this. I'm going to want this back. I'm going to wish these days hadn't gone by so fast. I love that song because it reminds me that life is short. Experiences are short. Good things are short and bad things are short. So to enjoy the moments and to control your attitude so that you can enjoy it. Not that I always had a great attitude, but I try to remind myself, you're going to miss this. And it helps me function every day to be a better person, a better mom, a better wife, a better anybody. Thanks for stopping by. If you enjoyed this video, please like it. And if you haven't subscribed, please think about subscribing. And hey, if you've got anything you want to add, I would love to hear from you, what you think, how your emptiness is going, or how you're going to feel about it when it does happen. But hey, let me know. And thanks so much for stopping by.